So a man has been found guilty today of a racially aggravated public order offence after burning a Quran. Hamid Joshkun shouted anti-Islamic slurs as he set the text alight in February. By confronting and actually attacking him, the 50-year-old argued that it was a protest against President Erdogan, the Turkish president.
Are we secretly bringing back blasphemy laws without calling them by name? This video explores the shocking Quran-burning conviction in London and why it could set a dangerous precedent for free speech. Uncover the heated debate between a fierce political commentator and a secular activist as they clash over whether this is protection of public order or an attack on fundamental freedom
of expression. However, today, the court ruled that his action caused distress specifically to the Muslim community. So this is part one of a two-part interview, by the way. So I started by asking him what he made of the verdict.
This was not a decision I was expecting. I was found guilty. I don't think there's a legal standing for this verdict. What I did was only use my freedom of expression.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Hamid Koskan's protest outside the Turkish consulate in London wasn't just an inflammatory act. It was a calculated statement. By burning a copy of the Quran, Koskan wasn't targeting Islam broadly. His focus was much narrower, a pointed critique of President Erdogan and what he described as the oppressive nature of Islamism in Turkey.
Why did you burn a copy of the Quran and then shout things like, F Islam, Islam is the religion of terrorism?
And the fact that I shouted the Quran must be banned, and also Islam is a terror religion. At the time, I defended this at court, and I'm still defending this from sentences I'm making up. I'm an atheist, I'm an Islam critic, and I'm an activist. And I've been fighting for 25 years now.
This wasn't an isolated outburst, but part of a growing political climate where individuals use provocative acts to challenge ideologies they view as authoritarian. Koskan's act immediately drew international attention, not only for its symbolism, but for the chaos that followed. On the day of his protest, a small group quickly gathered around the consulate, but tensions escalated when certain attendees began voicing threats. Videos from witnesses show moments of explosive anger, as some argued, while others threatened retaliation. Crowds that were considered peaceful shifted into combative as word of the Quran burning spread. But here's where it gets more complex. Koskan's arrest and subsequent conviction weren't for violating religious protections, as many expected. Instead, he was charged under public order laws, a legal pivot that sidestepped accusations of criminalizing blasphemy outright.
We have a big problem in Britain with radical Islamist terrorism. We all know that.
The people I'm criticising are the radical Islamists, and I'm aware that it would upset them. But for years, I was against ripping of the Quran or tearing the pages. Burn the Quran. I've been writing and expressing my opinions for years, but now to be able to make a bigger impact, I decided this would be the right action.
This framing, though, raised even more questions. Critics argue Koskan's conviction serves the same purpose as a blasphemy law, just under a different label. Historically, laws against blasphemy have often been used to stifle dissent, particularly against religious or political authority. During the 19th century in Britain, cases targeting outspoken critics of Christianity dominated headlines. The intent then was clear: to maintain societal control by silencing notions considered provocative or dangerous. Today, free speech is ostensibly protected in the UK, but does the use of public order laws signal a regression? Legal scholars like Alejandra Sanchez point out what they see as a troubling pattern. She argues Koskan's case sets a precedent that emboldens extremism by penalizing the target rather than addressing those perpetuating violence. In her view, the outcome sends a chilling message. Protests become a calculated risk of provoking legal penalties or mass outrage.
Hamid Koskan, he was prosecuted after setting fire to a Quran, his own Quran, outside the Turkish consulate. He was initially accused of posing a threat to public order after burning the book in February. He said it was a peaceful protest. He was actually violently attacked. He was on trial at Westminster Magistrate Court, accused of public order offences, accused of carrying out disorderly behaviour.
Could this reshape how Britons approach dissent, or silence them altogether? Far from over, this case cracks open a wider debate. What defines public order? Challenging ideas or avoiding offense? Is the conviction of Hamit Koskan a one-off ruling, or does it signal something far more concerning? The quiet resurgence of blasphemy laws under a new guise. It's a question stirring intense debate, with critics like legal researcher Fahaima Mimoude warning of the dangerous precedent this case could set. She draws a striking comparison to history, pointing to the suppression of ideas under Nazi rule, where dissenting voices were muzzled not through straightforward bans, but by systems that criminalized criticism in the name of public harmony. Her argument is clear. Laws that shield religious sentiments, even indirectly, risk reviving a similar playbook of silencing unacceptable narratives, only now wrapped in the veil of maintaining order. The question of double standards is unavoidable here. Public commentators and even the host of this debate have called attention to the disparity in responses to similar acts of protest. If someone were to burn a Bible or a Torah, would there be the same level of uproar and legal consequences? What about burning a national flag? Isn't that as provocative to patriots as Koskan's act was to devout Muslims? The host raises this uncomfortable question. Does the reaction depend on the cultural or political weight attached to the symbol being targeted? Such inconsistencies undermine the claim that public order is being evenly protected. Instead, it raises the suspicion that certain ideologies or groups receive heightened protection within the legal system. There's a broader concern about what this trend of criminalizing offense does to free speech. Fahaima Mimoude argues these laws elevate the protection of feelings over the right to critique ideas, particularly in controversial matters. The implications are serious. Such rules could dissuade people from challenging problematic ideologies or expressing deeply held beliefs, creating a chilling effect on open discourse. Other cases internationally show similar patterns, with laws ostensibly aimed at protecting communities being wielded to suppress minority opinions or dissent. Are these restrictions fostering social cohesion or actually fueling division by giving the impression of legal favoritism? If respect for all beliefs requires self-censorship, whose responsibility is it to draw the line? These are questions our society must wrestle with before they silence us altogether. The Quran burning case isn't simply about Hamit Koskan's actions. It's a warning of how fragile free speech can become when a society values feelings over principles. Public order laws, repurposed in this way, risk creating what critics have called a backdoor to blasphemy laws. As Lord Justice Sedley famously said, free speech includes the heretical, the unwelcome, the provocative. Free speech that only includes the right to speak inoffensively isn't worth having. Should ideas be shielded from critique, or does true justice lie in protecting people while allowing ideas to be challenged? Let us know where you think the balance lies.